Are some of the biggest culprits in the list of unaccepted items in our city's recycle carts. Plastic and metal hangers are also not accepted.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up, and the reason for our big crowd here tonight, I think, is recognition of our 2023 Citizens Police Academy class. TJ Lau and TJ Lau are going to come up and let us know. Tell us about the Police Academy class.
You guys all stand up here. You guys all stand there. Or take a group photo just a second. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Like I said, Lieutenant TJ Lau. I'm the PIO, Community Outreach for the Police Department. We've been blessed to have a pretty good Citizens Academy for the past 8 years. This is class number 8. We were able to host 18 people this year. And like I said, they go through a 6-week course of what we do. It's anywhere from media night to officer-involved shootings, and then how we deal with that. And then their final day was this past Saturday, which involved scenario days, plus a day at the range, half a day at the range. And like I said, this is a very good group that we had. Like I said, 18 people within the community, and we're very thankful for their time and dedication to kind of show them what the police department's about and what we do. So, like I said, we just wanted to recognize them tonight here at the City Council meeting. We appreciate you guys for letting us be here.
Excellent. We're excited about the class. Thank you all for taking part in it, and thank you to everyone at the Police Department for putting on an excellent program. I was class 1 with Officer Nahara back there, and actually Sergeant Gripe was my ride-along in that first class. So glad you guys were able to take part, and we appreciate what the department does in community outreach with this program.
Thank you, guys. Real quick photo.
Am I coming in?
Yeah, Chief, and then do that. Well, yes, sir.
We'll make it all fit. Oh, yeah, actually, one. 1, 2, 3.
That's clear. Sure. The Citizens Police Academy is a fantastic program for anybody out there in the community who's interested in learning more and knowing more about our police department and meeting some of our wonderful officers. I would encourage you to keep an eye out for sign-ups for that next class. All right, counselors, that takes us to item 4, which is our consent docket. Is there action on the consent docket?
I move approval of the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on consent. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, the consent docket is approved. Don't have anyone signed up for for comment on items not scheduled for public hearing, so we will move to item 7, the exciting part of our agenda tonight, which is the swearing in of our new counselor, Counselor-elect Tim Harden. So that was our last 4-0 vote for a while, hopefully. Judge Ron here is Judge Ron is here to swear in Counselor Harden.
Right here, where everybody can see.
Right here, okay.
Right there. Try to have the back of your head be the only thing that ever gets in the paper. All right. You will raise your right hand. Want to swear or? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Tim Harden,
I, Tim Harden,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma.
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
And I will not knowingly receive,
and I will not knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money or other valuable thing
any money or other valuable thing
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office
pertaining to my office
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than compensation allowed by law.
And I further swear
And I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
my duties of the office of
my duties of the office of
City of Stillwater Counselor, Office Number 2,
City of Stillwater, Counselor, Office Number 2,
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
They'll probably get a prettier one. Sign right there.
I've already sworn all this stuff.
I know, but you have to sign, goes in your file.
It's always
Thank you.
interesting to me that the oath of office for this seat is longer than the presidential oath of office. Just so you know what you're getting into.
Counselor Harden? Yes. Would you like to?
Of course.
Thank you, Judge Ron. Appreciate your help. Welcome to the Stillwater City Council. Dr. Harden.
Congratulations. Thank you. It's Tim.
You'll be Counselor Harden up here.
Okay. Dr. Harden stays in the classroom.
All right, well, that takes us to item 8 on the agenda. Item 8A is pursuant to 11 OS, Section 22-112 and 11 OS, Section 22-112.4, the Stillwater City Council will conduct a hearing to determine whether the structure located at 638 East 14th Avenue, Stillwater, Oklahoma, is dilapidated as defined in 11 OS Section 22-112C and abandoned as defined in 11 OS Section 22-112.4E on March 6th, today at 5:30 now in the Stillwater City Council hearing room right here. At said date and time, the City Council shall make a determination as to whether said building is dilapidated and or abandoned as defined by the reference statutes and whether to order the abatement and removal of said structure and the assessment of all associated costs thereof to owner of said property. Special Counsel Beth Ann Childs is here.
Thank you, Mayor. This matter has actually been before you on 2 prior occasions. Both times, staff recommended that they be tabled. I asked Code Enforcement Officer James Moore to go back out there late last week. I always like to try to give people as much opportunity as they can in order to get these structures remedied. He went out to the properties and are those showing? Can you make it show? Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. So, ironically, Officer Moore noted to me that when he got back to his office, he realized that he had actually taken the exact same pictures back in January. And so you're going to see a side-by-side, basically, comparison. The line on the left is the one that was taken in March, right? In January, I'm sorry. And then on the right is the most recent photographs. So it's our position that there really hasn't been a substantial amount of progress. Our request is that you conduct the public hearing. I believe I saw Mr. Sorensen here. He may have some comments. Otherwise, we would like to stand on the written official record as supplemented with the new photographs. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Beth Ann. Councilors, any questions at this time? At this time, I will open the public hearing. Do we have Mr. Sorensen here? If you'd like to come to the podium and state your name and address for the record and let us know.
Yeah. David Sorensen, 1302 East Maple Avenue, Stillwater, Oklahoma. I've got the steel all there. I just had the Mr. Cool heat pump delivered yesterday, and I've got it inside the house, the real high efficiency heat pump system to go in there. I'd had a new AC on one side, but it got stolen by people in the neighborhood. So, and I've actually put 60 feet of gravel in the driveway in the last few days. I've gravelled the driveway with 3,000 pounds of gravel, and the vinyl siding is done all the way up to 10 foot high all the way around. That wasn't on this picture yet. So yeah, it's been. Every time I've tried to put the 16-foot piece of steel on, the wind's blowing too hard to put 16-foot steel on. It's all there, every bit of about $5,000 worth, $6,000 worth of steel. So, yeah, I'm still working on it. The north side looks bad, but I've got the new insulation to go all the way to the top on it. I have everything there. I started working full-time as the street sweeper, about run over the manager this morning before sunrise, but the truck broke down just after I got past him. I don't know what happened, but we got it fixed. So yeah, if you can give me a little more time, I've actually got people interested in buying it, and I'm going to try to get it where they can take it and go on with it. There's a new breaker panel inside with all the new breakers, 200 amp panel, and all the circuits are there even for the heat pump already. So I would ask you to consider to give me a little more time, but that's all I have to say.
Thanks, sir. How much time do you think you're going to need to get it?
I've actually got some help lined up to re-sheetrock it. We're rewiring it, so I'm taking the sheetrock down inside and getting that off. So I'm shooting for May 1st. I want to have it done and on the market by then. Okay. But I'm working full time. I'm going to be 64 in 3 days, so I'm moving as fast as I can right now. But I appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Consideration.
I don't have anyone else signed up to speak at the public hearing today. Is there anyone else here that was here to speak? This time I will close the public hearing. Ms. Childs, what is the staff's recommendation for?
Staff's recommendation is that, and of course this will be later on in the agenda, that you move forward with approval of the resolution. As you know, in the past, we have added 90 days to allow before the city manager can take action. I did that in this case rather than 30 or 60 because he has made some progress, but our position is a lot of times when the council actually passes the resolution, then we tend to see a little bit more rapid progress. Additionally, the city manager does have discretion after that point, something that he utilized quite a bit during COVID.
Okay. Thank you, Beth Ann.
Thank you.
Councilors, any questions? All right. Well, at this time, that resolution is later on the agenda. So at this time, we will move to item 8B, which is receive public comment regarding a request to close approximately 75 square feet of the utility easement for future development of a medical office on the northeast corner, on the northern lot of Baymere Addition at 1210 West 12th Avenue, CC-23-34. Ms. Porter.
All right. Good evening. Okay, let me get this rolling for you. All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Jacqueline Porter, City Planner, presenting on behalf of the Planning Department. This item before you is a partial closing of an easement located at 1210 West 12th Avenue. This is the Baymere Addition that is north of 12th Street and west of Adams. Here's an aerial view of the subject property. Stillwater Medical is located to the south, and on this hashed area, Central Drug is located there on the southwest corner of the hash marked. All right, so here's the site plan of what's being proposed to be closed, or is being closed. It was an existing fire hydrant there. They're wanting to develop a building there that's going to encroach onto that, so they're moving the hydrant's been moved, so we need it closed so they can build. Katie is here with Ghost & Associates. Are there any questions for staff at this time?
Councilors? Thank you, Jacqueline. This time I'll open the public hearing. We have a representative from the owner here.
Hi, Katie Purdy, 113 East 8th Ave. I'm here on behalf of the client. So there was an existing fire hydrant in this location. It has already been removed and relocated. It's just a 5-foot strip where the building was going to go and encroach into the easement. So that is all we're asking to close at this time.
Thank you. Appreciate
Any
you being
questions?
here. Councilors? I don't have anyone else signed up for this public hearing. This time I'll close the public hearing. Jacqueline, was there a recommendation on the item?
Approve the closing request.
This one didn't go to Planning Commission, right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, councilors, questions? Recommended action?
Motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the portion of the easement. Please vote. That's approved with a vote of 5-0. That takes us to Item 8C, receive public comment regarding a request for a text amendment to Land Development Code, Chapter 23, Land Development Code, Article 6, Use Classifications, Division 1, generally, Section 23-121, exemptions, setback for fences, etc., for projections into yards. This is CC-23-39. Ms. Porter.
Yes, as stated, the long section, it is a text amendment for a fence. So this was a Board of Adjustment request that staff reviewed and amended the fence code to address a common variance request regarding the fences on secondary right-of-ways to be considered a side yard. Here's a few statistics. Since the beginning of 2020, we've had a total of 60 variances that have been requested, and out of the 60, 13 of them specifically concern fences for homes that lie on corner lots. That's approximately 21%. So in 2020, we had 6 out of the 21. In 2021, we had 5 out of the 18. In 2022, 2 out of the 21, and we haven't had any so far this year. The text amendment has been developed by staff to create less of a hardship on the residents on corner lots. The intent of the proposed changes were to keep the integrity of the current code but make minor adjustments to meet the community's needs at this time. Staff presented the text amendment to Planning Commission with discussion, and the discussion focused around site triangle issues and the safety of pedestrians on certain areas that this would be allowed, and then the clarity of the intent of the draft of the text that was created. And Planning Commission did recommend approval of 4-1. Later that week, we had a Building Relations Committee, and we discussed this proposed amendment as well, and they brought up the concerns as well of the site triangle and other issues of the clarity of the text. So staff is recommending to remand this item back to Planning Commission for further consideration to fix up the issues that were brought up by Planning Commission and the BRC.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Councilors, any questions?
Jacqueline, when we're looking at code amendments like that, do we look to neighboring communities for the text amendments, or how did it work for this one?
Yeah, yes, okay. Yes, we do. But our code is this section is very challenging. We'll put it that way. Because the intent is not to try to change the whole code at once, but this particular section is kind of hard to mimic other cities because it includes other projections as well in it. So it was very unique. We tried. So
it's good to know.
So do you all have changes in mind that you think will resolve the issues that have been brought up, or you feel like it needs more discussion and study, or where are you?
We're going to do some more discussions and hopefully talk with BRC and see if they have any suggestions as well to help clarify. That way we're not doing a whole bunch of changes, but we have some options in mind. It may take a little bit, but we're hoping it won't take too long, but it may take some time.
Okay. Well, at this time, I will open this public hearing. I don't have anyone signed up to speak on this item particularly, so I will close the public hearing. And Jacqueline, just remind us, your recommendation is to remand?
Yes, to remand this item back to Planning Commission for further consideration.
Councilors, any action?
I move to approve staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remand this item back to Planning Commission for further discussion. Please vote. It's approved with a vote of 5-0.
All right, thank you, guys.
Item 9A, consider approval of budget amendments reflecting receipt and expenditure of the CDBG-CV grant funds to administer Phase 4 of the Stillwater COVID Impact Assistance Program. Shelley Crines.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I'm Shelley Crines, Grants Manager. We do have a great opportunity through the CDBG grant funds to start it at Phase 4. Due to COVID-19, a large number of our residents have sustained unprecedented financial hardship, causing them to be in need of immediate assistance. Resolution 2020 2020-27 was approved to authorize the creation of the Stillwater Resident COVID Impact Assistance Program, and we utilized $150,000 of the CARES Act grant reimbursement funds to start this program. We had an addition of some CDBG Community Development Block Grant funds, and we've had 3 phases now of this assistance program. The Oklahoma Department of Commerce, which administers the CDBG funding, has been very pleased with how we have utilized their grant money, and they have approved $365,000 more for us to use for utility payments and for rental assistance for our residents. So all in all, that would be very helpful. We've had 770 applications that we've processed through this entire 3 phases that we've done already. Helped 700 different households and 1,500 low to moderate income beneficiaries of the funding that we've received so far. So we would add $365,000 to that, to our existing contract. City of Stillwater staff will use these funds to administer Phase 4 of the COVID Impact Assistance Program. And that would begin this month in March, and we will follow the attached procedures. I do have budget amendments that reflect the receipt and expenditure of the CDBG CV grant funds, and they're attached for approval. Do you have any questions right now?
Councilors, any questions?
Shelley, I know that on Phase 3 we were getting near the end of the program. There was concerns we might not send all the dollars out the door, but that ultimately did happen, right? We had enough requests to be able to use all that money.
Yes, we have just very little remaining, and it will be closed out. Okay. Yeah, we will not have to go through the closeout process though if we add this $365,000.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
Were there any, you said there's some dollars remaining, a few dollars remained. Were there any people that applied that did qualify that were not awarded for any reason?
No. Well, we had the ones who did apply, but they did not qualify, and they knew why they didn't qualify. Okay. We, at the end, when we stopped accepting applications, we were gaining momentum. There were a lot of people, I think they realized we were still doing the program. So
we feel confident that having a 4th phase would encourage other folks, or those people that didn't get an application in to apply now.
Yes, there are still people who would qualify for the assistance. So,
I mean, I would just point out, just looking at the amounts that we've done, point out that we've provided almost more than $900,000 of assistance to people in our community, and so certainly compliments to everyone who works to get these grants. Right. And the additional Phase 4 would put us over $1.2 million of assistance, and I think that's just fabulous that we have been able to do that for our community and for people who have struggled due to COVID.
Yes, it's pretty exciting.
So. I had to do that math on my piece of paper here. You just did it.
Are there any other questions?
Councilors?
Okay.
What's your recommendation for us, Shelley?
Motion to approve the budget amendments reflecting receipt and expenditure of additional CDBG COVID funds in the amount of $365,000 for the purpose of funding the Stillwater Resident COVID Impact Assistance Program, Phase 4. And resolution number 2023-4 is on the agenda for approval to authorize Phase 4 of the Stillwater Resident COVID Impact Assistance Program. So.
Thank you. Councilors?
Motion to accept staff recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation on the grant process. Please vote. That's approved with a vote of 4-0. Thank you, Shelley, and thanks to Our Daily Bread for helping with administration of that as well, correct?
Yes, and we will be doing that part this time.
What did I say? 5? Did I say 4-0? 5-0. I'm sorry, Councilor Harden. I didn't count your vote in that last one. That one was approved with a vote of 5-0.
I'll dive into the table.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to item 9B, report on past and future implementation of the Community Development Block Grant Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprise Utilization Plan, also referred to as the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and the effect on the 2019 purchasing policy will have on notifying MWBEs of bidding opportunities.
Yes.
Shelley.
Every year we have plans that we're required to pass by CDBG to receive their funds. And the Minority Women-Owned Business Enterprises Utilization Plan is one of those plans. They're also referred to as Disadvantaged Business Enterprises. Councilor Clark requested information on our past implementation of this and our future implementation. So also included in this report, John McClenny is going to give an update on the 2019 purchasing policy and how it's going to improve our efforts to notify these businesses with our bidding opportunities. The Minority Women Business Enterprise Utilization Plan is submitted annually to Council, and it's for all city projects that are partially or completely funded by federal funds. The plan shows Stillwater's good faith efforts to ensure the inclusion to the maximum extent permitted by law of minorities and women and minority and women-owned business enterprises in its procurement process. Currently, the CDBG-funded city projects that improve transportation, drainage, and water utilities infrastructure are bid out through our engineering department. And that's the way it's been for quite a while. Within the bid documents, they contain specific wording for bidders to document whether or not they make good faith efforts to make minority and women business enterprises aware of and provide opportunities for them to participate in the competitive process to subcontract with the bidders. So we reach out to them through the bids, through the wording in the bids. Bidding documents are submitted to the state for review, and the state checks whether the minority and the women business-owned enterprises have been properly notified or subcontracted. And if they're satisfied that that is one of the conditions that's been met, then permission is granted to start a contract execution process. All bids that have been going out through the engineering department will eventually be moved to the procurement manager. And he will be using our new online bidding portal that's called Ion Wave. And that is going to make it much easier for us to have good faith efforts to target local and minority women business enterprises in the bidding process for projects funded or partially funded by federal funds. We will be able to enter the information for these businesses into the bidding portal, and they'll be able to receive opportunity emails so that they can go in and they can register to be notified about contracts. And John McClenny is going to tell you about Ion Wave.
John McClenny, Procurement Manager. I'll give you a little bit of an update of the implementation of the 2019 purchasing policy. When the council passed that policy, staff kind of had three broad goals. We wanted to rewrite the outdated 2009 purchasing manual, and that is well underway, near completion. We want to train and certify frontline staff in government procurement. That is on the radar. And then the third thing is to modernize our antiquated bid process. And by antiquated, I mean that we are still using paper and U.S. mail, both of which were available in the 18th century. We are not using quill pens, so we have gotten a little farther along that. But if you can imagine, we get bids every Wednesday. Teresa's carrying bundles of documents in various manila envelopes, boxes, etc. A lot of times in those bids, there are things that we didn't ask for and we really don't need. And also finding the things that we did ask for is very difficult in a lot of cases because it's buried within the bid document itself. So we do now have an online bid portal. We partnered with a company called Ion Wave, and we found them through some research. City of Edmond has actually been using them for about 10 years now. So we are approaching the 21st century technology solution. All of our bid documents, when we use iOnWave, are distributed and submitted online. So everything is done online. We even open the bids online. So instead of opening envelopes, we have a screen and we unseal the bids there just like we always would publicly. Registered suppliers are automatically notified when a bid comes out that it's of interest to them. Reminders are automatically sent at regular intervals so that if a bidder is interested in something and they get distracted, they'll get an email letting them know that it's about to be due. They can register by commodity, so they can register for certain commodities that are of interest to them that they provide, and they won't get notified of things that aren't of interest. We can also ask vendors to identify special classifications at registration. And that gives us the ability to quickly identify and reach out to specific vendor classes, and those include small business, minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, disabled, and local. We're also able to quantify that data, and we can provide quarterly and/or annual reporting on outreach to special classifications so we know how well we're doing with reaching minority and women-owned businesses. The vendor registration is now live on our website. We have 2 what I called test bids. They were test bids in that I wanted to see how it went, but they were actual bids. So we put out the city's audit service was the first one, and then also tree trimming and high voltage lines for the SUA. So we had one on the city side and one on the SUA side. We have the police dispatch renovation is out there right now. It just went out Saturday. Engineering will be coming soon. I'm working with Candy on that, Candy Starring, and she is working with the city attorney's office to update some of their documents before they're ready to go live on iOnWave. When we get that done and we're confident that everything is working well, we're planning to mass email all of the vendors that are currently registered in the city's payment system, and we can email any other specific listings. And I know Shelley's aware that certain state agencies have vendor lists for minority and women-owned businesses, so we can add those to the mix as well. And then iOnWave, our partner in this, is in the process of combining all of their vendor lists from all of their client cities nationwide. So we'll eventually have access to all of that, and we'll have a much better reach in terms of getting bids. So I'll try to answer any questions if...
Thank you, John. Councilors, any questions?
Well, I just want to say first, I'm glad I asked the question because I learned a lot tonight. And the quote of the night is, we had all this in the 18th century. So I appreciate that as well. Thanks for the update. I really appreciate it. It sounds like we potentially can be more effective in trying to satisfy the intent of this regulation with our new processes.
Right.
That's good news.
I think we'll be more effective on that. We're going to be more effective in general in terms of making sure that we get the bids out there.
And it also sounds like with all the vendor lists that we're going to have access to, we should have a good comprehensive list of minority and women-owned businesses to meet this criteria. Would that
Yes,
be fair?
I think we will, and we'll also be able to make sure that we can identify them clearly because they register for that.
Is there, and there is a mechanism where if someone feels like they're a minority or women-owned business and they're not on the vendor list, that they can register with the city so that they can be on the list?
Well, anybody who registers is provided with the option to identify themselves as minority and women-owned.
Okay. Thank you.
I noticed the other day as I was looking at something in my work life that Oklahoma City, in their contracting just as a tracking to understand exactly if they are capturing, not just from a, hey, did you receive our solicitation, but are we actually capturing any of those types of businesses to work with us? Because that's kind of the trick, is they're small businesses. They often have to partner with a larger company to get in on the work. They require just a report, like some, I don't know whether it's quarterly or monthly or something that goes in with their invoicing to say whether or not they've utilized disadvantaged businesses during their efforts in that project, which I thought was kind of right? There's no requirement other than to just say yes or no and how much. So it'd be an interesting way of keeping track of whether or not we're capturing.
Well, and this allows us to do that. We'll be able to capture how whether or not we're reaching these businesses as well. So we can provide quarterly, annual, however often we need to provide reports on it.
I've noticed in the past that we've had a number of times when we've had one or two qualified bidders on a project. Are we expecting this is going to grow that, or we'll have less of that happening?
We've had so far more qualified bidders on the 2 tests than we had in the past. No, I wouldn't say it was, I mean, it went from like 4 to 6 maybe, but I think that we're going to see a lot more as we go forward.
Great, thanks.
Is there, excuse me, is there any effort to reach out to make sure that previous bidders that were in the paper and pencil stage are now in the system?
Yes, we're gonna email everybody who's on our list. Engineering also has a list of bidders who've bid on past projects, and they keep that up to date. So we're going to email them. Ion Wave is going to help us get the word out to our existing vendors as well as any new ones that we don't know about. So we're going to.
I would just hate for some of those small businesses to fall through the cracks because they're not aware of the new system.
Yeah, we're going to make sure that we get everybody that we have used in the past. And then Ion Wave has also been very good about helping people register if they have any problems with the system. So,
great.
Thanks for all your work
getting
that ready for us.
That's a great report. Yeah, very, very good to hear that we make those strides. So appreciate your work.
All right.
Thanks, John. That takes us to item 10 on the agenda, resolutions. First up is Resolution 2022-37. This, as Beth Ann mentioned earlier, has been on our agenda a couple of times. This is related to the property we discussed earlier. It's a resolution of the Stillwater City Council declaring the structure located at 638 East 14th Avenue, Stillwater, Oklahoma, dilapidated and abandoned, and a public nuisance detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the general public of the community, and ordering the dilapidated structure to be torn down and removed pursuant to 11 OS Section 22-122. Also, as Beth Ann noted, this resolution does include a 90-day sort of grace period before it would be enforced. Councilors, is there action on the resolution?
Move to adopt resolution CC 2022-37.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any discussion? Please vote. It's adopted 5-0. Item B is Resolution 2023-4, a resolution authorizing the creation of Phase 4 of a grant program to assist Stillwater residents experiencing financial hardship due to COVID-19. This is the program that Shelley described for us earlier. Is there action on this item?
Motion to adopt resolution 2023-4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Resolution is adopted 5-0. Item 11 is ordinances. On first reading, we have ordinance 3520, an ordinance closing a portion of a utility easement located in the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 22, Township 19 North, Range 2 East of the Indian Base and Meridian, City of Stillwater, Payne County, Oklahoma, near property addressed as 1210 West 12th Avenue. This is the item from earlier this evening. Is there action on the ordinance?
Move to advance ordinance 3520.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance the ordinance to second reading. Please vote. The vote of 5-0, the ordinance is advanced to second read. Item 11B is ordinance number 3521, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3494, approving a minor amendment to the 2022 amended Stillwater Reinvestment Plan, a Stillwater Downtown Campus Link project plan, pursuant to the Oklahoma Local Development Act, allocating a portion of the increment generated by the increase in real and personal property values in increment district number 5 up to $1,128,600 to the affected taxing jurisdictions, increasing the budget of project costs for increment district number 5 by 5% to provide a source of funds for implementation and administrative costs incurred by the Stillwater Economic Development Authority, providing for severability and declaring an emergency. Mr. Moore.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Brady Moore on behalf of the City Manager's Office. Just wanted to give some clarity to this ordinance, and especially with our new counselor. Congratulations, Counselor Harden. All right, on May 16th, 2022, Council adopted the 2022 amended Stillwater Reinvestment Plan that added increment district number 5, and this is the USA Rare Earth project at 100 East Airport Road. And during those review committee meetings prior to the approval of the amended project plan to create this new increment district number 5, commitments were made to the affected taxing jurisdictions that they would continue to receive their respective allocation of taxes generated by this new property or by the property USA Rare Earth up to the purchase price assessed valuation of $9.9 million. So the Center for Economic Development Law that we work closely with drafted the revisions to the project plan to accommodate the commitments made to these taxing jurisdictions during these meetings. And so USA Rare Earth and its legal counsel have approved the terms of these amendments to the redevelopment agreement, the covenant agreement, and the proposed minor amendment to the project plan. A quick overview of these amendments. The mayor just read some of those in the ordinance themselves, but this is increasing the base assessed value of the increment district number 5 from $728,164 to $1,128,600. Again, just to get back up to that $9.9 million that was promised in those meetings. Changing the disbursements of assistance and development financing to 90% of the increment increase of real and personal property taxes, with the remaining 10% being dispersed to the allocation to Stillwater Public Schools and then SEDA for administration costs. And lastly, increasing the budget by 5% to provide a source of revenues for administrative and implementation cost. And so ordinance 3521 is before you tonight to advance the second read, but I'll pause and take any questions that you have.
Councilors, any questions for Brady?
Mayor, may I also add, there's an emergency declaration provision to this ordinance, which will require separate action and a vote of 4 to pass.
Thank you. There are no further questions. Is there action on the ordinance?
Motion to advance ordinance 3521.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance ordinance 3521 to second read. Please vote. Passes with a vote of 5-0. Is there action on the emergency clause?
How do we word that?
I'm not sure what the motion is.
Motion to declare an emergency on ordinance 3521.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to declare emergency on ordinance 3521. Please vote. That passes with a vote of 5-0. Let's see, 11A.
Before you move on, may I
Yes.
ask what the effect of declaring an emergency?
Would you like me to answer a
I'll let
second?
you do that because I'll mess it up.
An ordinary ordinance goes into effect 30 days after the date of publication. When you declare an emergency, the council is determining that it is their opinion that this ordinance is necessary to be passed as an emergency for preservation of public peace and health and safety. And in those instances, the ordinance is effective after the date of publication. So it will advance to second read, and as soon as it's published after second read, it would be effective.
Okay. And how long does typically publication take after second read?
Typically following the meeting, if we request publication by the news press on a Tuesday, it's typically published that Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anything further on that? All right, that takes us to ordinances on second reading. Ordinance number 3518, an ordinance an ordinance rezoning attractive land located at 619 West 12th Avenue from office to public.
Move to adopt ordinance 3518.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance. Please vote. The vote of 5-0, the ordinance is adopted. Ordinance 3519 is an ordinance rezoning attractive land located at 299 South Drury Street from small lot single-family residential to two-family residential district. Councilors?
Motion to adopt ordinance 3519.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance. Please vote. That ordinance is adopted with a vote of 5-0. Next up, we have appointments. The appointment of Stillwater Police Captain Todd Perry to the Payne County Enhanced 911 Communications Board. Mr. McNichol is going to explain that item to us.
So I've been on that board for a long time. Based on my pending departure, I
You're leaving?
visited.
Sorry, we knew that.
Yes. I visited with the police department. Captain Perry is supervisor of the dispatch unit and is an appropriate appointee. The interlocal agreement between the agencies that provide the countywide 911 service requires that the appropriate political body appoint the member. And I would ask for a motion to appoint Captain Todd Perry to the Payne County Enhanced 911 Communications Board.
Thank you, Mr. McNichol. I will move that we appoint Captain Perry to the board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Captain Todd Perry is appointed to the Payne County Enhanced 911 Communications Board, and we certainly appreciate Captain Perry's willingness to serve in that additional capacity. Reports from officers and boards. Anything, Ms. Carnley?
Nothing to report.
Mr. McNichol?
Speaking of boards, we have a number of openings that would like to announce. The city is accepting applications for citizen representatives to serve on various committees, including the Airport Advisory Board, Board of Adjustment, Board of Drainage Appeals, and the Reinvestment Plan Implementation Policy Committee. These committees are essential for increased economic development and infrastructure projects within our community. If you'd like to get involved in your local government and help make Stillwater even greater, please consider serving on one or more of these communities. For more information and to apply online, go to stillwater.org/citizen boards.
Those are really, really important roles, and we'd appreciate anyone who's willing to do that to reach out and learn more about them. Actually, Councilor Hardin served on at least one of those, if not a couple of those, yeah.
Yeah, Airport Advisory and Board of Adjustment.
So if you have questions about what it pertains, reach out to Councilor Hardin or reach out to any of us if you have questions about other service opportunities in the city, but we would love to have folks to appoint to those very important boards. Vice Mayor.
Yes, the city's annual Household Hazardous Waste Collection event will be Saturday, April 22nd from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Convenience Collection Center located at 807 South Perkins Road. We want to inform our residents about this event now so they have plenty of time to prepare with spring cleaning. Virtually any household pollutant will be collected. Bring oil-based paints, pesticides, herbicides, household cleaning products, mixed fuels, fertilizer, pool chemicals, craft and hobby supplies, rechargeable batteries, etc. We will also be collecting unwanted pharmaceuticals again at this event, though those can be dropped off year-round at the Stillwater Police Department. For more information, please contact the Watershed Quality Specialist, Chris Franks, at 405-533-8482 or the Convenience Collection Center at 405-742-8269.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Councilor Hawkins?
If you're looking for an environmentally friendly way to save money on your water bill, you may want to purchase a rain barrel through the City of Stillwater. These barrels capture water from your roof and store it for future use. Using rain barrels also helps to reduce stormwater pollution by minimizing the amount of stormwater runoff that leaves the site. Mail-in order forms are due by April 27th, and online orders are due by April 30th. For more information, visit stillwater.org or email Zach, Z-A-C-K, .Henson, H-E-N-S-O-N, at stillwater.org. You can also call 405-533-8436 if easier.
Thank you. I'm going to apologize, Councilor Hawkins and Councilor Hardin. At some point, I am going to call you guys by the wrong name. Just I'm going to apologize right now.
There are many worse things I could be called.
Agreed.
Councilor Clark.
The annual Trash Off event to help keep Stillwater beautiful will be Saturday, March 25 from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is an opportunity to earn community service hours if needed. Volunteers will meet at the Couch Park Pavilion at 1270 East Alcott Drive. Work gloves, safety vests, and trash bags will be provided. Volunteers are asked to RSVP by March 21 by calling 405-533-8482. Additional information is available online at stillwater.org/trash-off, or if you prefer, trash.off or trash-off. Take your pick.
All right.
All right.
I think those are different marks, right? Dash and hyphen,
Dash and-
aren't they? Some English major should know that.
Well, I said hyphen because that's how I was taught, but...
Councilor Hardin, I got your talking point just so we wouldn't put too much on you for your first meeting.
Darn it.
But I appreciate
I told him there would be one there, and he said, nope, nothing.
I grabbed it. This is the last time, though. The City of Stillwater is hiring. Full and part-time positions are available in a variety of areas, including police, library, waste management, Stillwater Regional Airport, water utilities, and public works, and more. Also, we've started a new text service to be notified about openings in the fire and police departments. To receive those notifications, text the word police or the word fire to 405-742-8281. To see a full list of employment opportunities with the City of Stillwater, go online to stillwater.org/employment. I see nothing else on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
With a motion and a second to adjourn the City Council, please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater City Council is now adjourned. This time I will call to order the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting for March 6, 2023. Is there action on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. Item 5 is general orders. We will consider approval of a redevelopment agreement between Progressive Development and the Stillwater Economic Development Authority, which Mr. Moore will tell us about.
Yes. Good evening, trustees. Brady Moore again on behalf of the City Manager's Office. So tonight, I'm just going to give you a quick update on the project at 923 South Main Street by Progressive Development. As we're kind of changing up our process a little more, you've already heard this project, and Corey presented it to you back in January. But with our new counselor tonight, we wanted to quickly just kind of go over the items of the details of the redevelopment agreement before we put it through like normally we would on consent. Okay, so this project is a complete redevelopment of the 7,000 square foot building at 923 South Main Street. We know it as the old Uncle Mike's building, along with the new 1,000 square foot outside dining space. The tenants will be 2 new businesses for Stillwater, a popular restaurant that began in downtown Oklahoma City, Hatch Early Mood Food, and a nationally recognized bakery, Roundhouse, that is relocating to Stillwater. The purchase price of the building was $355,000. Estimated renovation expenses of $2.75 million and furniture and fixtures of $500,000 for a total development cost of $3.6 million. The TIF3 committee meeting met on December 19th to hear this project, and they voted 6-0 for approval. Their recommendation was for the total amount of $525,000. SEDA, you heard this, presented to you on January 9th and voted for us to enter into a redevelopment agreement with Progressive Development. SEDA approved the term sheet for this project on January 23rd. And just as a reminder, a few of the financial details of the project are the remaining balance of $375,000 of that upfront balance that was left there, you authorized to be used in this project with an interest rate of 1.75% over 10 years. The revenue for this loan payment will be made, of course, from the increased increment in ad valorem and personal property tax and the city's 2% of undedicated sales tax. The additional $150,000 to get up to the $525,000 of development assistance would be reimbursed to the developer in arrears after the $375,000 note had been paid in full. Staff projections show that this is a strong project with an estimated full TIF assistance payback in just like 6 to 7 years. So that's the details. I have a motion, but I'll pause now to answer any questions that you have.
Trustees, any questions for Brady? This is just super exciting. Every time I drive by there, the work that's going on at that building shows it's going to be a really a great spot and a great location wise. That south end of Main Street is going to really be helped by it being down there. So
yes, absolutely. Corey gave me a walkthrough last week in addition to some future projects that you'll be hearing. So really exciting.
So what's your recommendation for us, Brady?
To direct staff to enter into a redevelopment agreement with Progressive Development Corp. LLC and authorize the general manager and legal counsel to negotiate, finalize, and execute the terms of the redevelopment agreement for the restaurant and bakery at 923 South Main Street.
Trustees?
I move to approve staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the staff's recommendation. Please vote. It's approved with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Brady. Any reports from the officers of the board?
Quick reminder, there's a state question on the ballot tomorrow. Please go vote, exercise your rights.
And I'll just remind everybody that there's a big bicycle race in town this weekend. Be careful out on the roads on Friday and Saturday. We'll have people running and riding, and a few thousand people in from all over the country. So stop by and say hello. Nothing else on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. SEDA, please vote. With a vote of 5-0, SEDA is adjourned, and that concludes our meetings for this evening.